So I had this idea for, got to get the a new mobility protocol for livable cities that I'm creating, and I would like mayors to sign up and say, okay, we join the protocol, and then these mayors all around the world will now have created a collective bargaining group with which to set, here's what we as cities want, and you autonomous vehicle companies, if you want to work in our cities, you have to play by the rules that we've all agreed are important to us. And so this protocol, number one, and this, right about a week ago, there was the C40 cities that just had their meeting, and they started, 4 cities announced that by 2025 they were going to ban diesel cars in their cities. So playing off of that, I think we should be saying, cities should be saying, by 2020, new shared use vehicles need to be clean fuel or electric in our cities. So that if you're putting a new one into a city in 2020, because it's going to be intensively used, air quality is a really big issue for us. All of those shared use, intensively used cars that are new by 2020 have to be electric or clean fuel. And by 2025, we want the entire fleet of shared use cars to be switched out. So that would be number one. Number two, if we think about autonomous vehicles, all autonomous vehicles in dense populated areas need to be shared vehicles. That we can't risk. So they need to be shared vehicles for a couple of reasons. Number one, they need to be shared so that it gets heavily used, because these are brand new. We don't want them just doing 5% of the time. I want them to be used 60% of the time, so I can learn. Let's learn as fast as we can. Number two, I don't only want to have rich Tesla owners using these great autonomous vehicles. I want you and me to get the benefits of them. I want to enable me to buy a seat. I don't have to buy the whole car. And number three, that's what those car companies are saying they're going to do anyway, is that they're going to be putting them out. So let's just say, okay, all autonomous vehicles in densely populated areas should be shared. If we go to the sharing piece, we need to say, here's another one, we need standard open APIs for ride sharing. And that would mean we're not only sharing, if we want to share rides and shared vehicles, we have to share the data. And if we don't share the data, meaning the origin, destination, timing, payment, we're going to end up with monopolies. So just if you think about the kayak or Hipmunk service for airlines, we need to have the ability to have that same thing for these faves.
Meaning kayak can pull in everybody's feed.
So, and why that's important to me is network effects are really important. To share vehicles, you need to have the maximum number of people sharing, right? So from the city's perspective, they want to make sure that you're sharing as many origin destinations as you can, right? We talked about that we really want to make sure that happens. But if I'm an Uber user and I go to my Uber app, it says, oh, Robin, sure, I'll take you, but there's no one I can share with. And you're sitting there and you opened up your Lyft app for the exact same thing. Those two will not see each other and they won't share that car. If the city says you have to have standard open APIs, and that means when I have my kayak-like app, I'll say, oh yeah, I want to go from here to there, and the Uber is 1 minute away, and the Lyft is 90 seconds away, and Susie's, who only owns 2 cars, and they happen to be one nearby, and I like local, and I'm going to wait 4 minutes for her. So I can choose. We can have small startups can be part of it, local can be part of it, and it means we won't end up with monopoly or an oligopoly. And I would urge us, when we think of this comparison, to think about the telcos, that it's a monopoly, and when you have monopoly status, you're
how's that worked out for us?
Yeah, how's that work? So I look at it and I think, so that's number 3. Number 4 would be...
Well, see, just on that number 3, I'm sure these tech companies, like they said about your tax idea, they're probably not that crazy about that idea.
No, they aren't crazy about this idea, but from a city perspective, and from a people who live in city perspective, it is in our best interest, for sure. There's like not even any gray area. It is for sure in my interests to be able to do that. And I think about these companies and I think, if you're so great, well, compete on price, compete on service, compete on fabulous app, compete on fancy car, compete on values. But you can't rely on competing on the network, because I know what happens when you become a monopoly. You can have surge pricing 7 times, and I'm screwed. And so we need to have that competition, and not only do we need to have that competition, we need to enable a person who's going to have a brilliant idea and needs to start someplace to be able to start someplace.
I will say that doesn't feel like an urban or municipal thing, given that it's going to be these giant companies. It seems like some kind of state or even national kind of policies. Do you think? I mean, or is that some a city? Could a city of San Francisco impose that on some?
If they were part of the
precisely,
if they join the New Mobility Protocol.
All right.
Exactly. So if London, Paris, San Francisco, LA, Boston, Pittsburgh, and Nashville had said, this is what we're doing, you want to come into our cities, we're voting as a pact. As a group, this is what we're saying. Because right now, think of the information asymmetry that's going on between these guys. Google has how many engineers think about big data versus San Francisco Town Hall? Yeah. Like, we are so unpowered, like outpowered, whatever that word is. And right now, these car companies and these service providers are supplicants. Like, they need the mayor to say, yes, you can come to your pilot in our city. And this is the only time it's going to happen. Later, you're not going to be able to say that. But right now, we have a one-time deal in which you can come into my city.
I'll just ask you, because you sit there and you say about they, but I mean, you were the CEO, co-founder of essentially a tech company. Do you think, they're great philanthropists.
Do a good job.
I mean, but do you feel that they'd be open to this kind of rework of the system in a pretty fundamental way for the good of the society?
I would
say
2 things. They will definitely fight it, because who doesn't want to negotiate one by one and get a better deal one by one? But on the opposite side, now Uber has to have a one-of deal with every single blessed city. And if there were a standard and a norm, I was at an event last week, and I think a person from GM said, you know what we really need? We really need to have one uniform way of interacting with cities. And I thought, exactly. Don't we want to have one uniform way that we interact with cities? That would be much easier. Much easier.
But how would you coax in the tech companies for that, including Airbnb and home sharing and other places? What's the incentive for them? Would you say
So I got through 3. Number 3. Okay. And number 4 would be the incremental energy demand on the grid from this new transportation should be renewable and clean. Mm-hmm. And then number 5 would be the local land use, user fees, rights of way laws will incentivize these top things happening. And so what I'm going to do for you, I might make an urban high-speed corridor for shared vehicles. And so we are today, we're existing where we are right today, where everyone does have private cars. And you know what? Going down Market Street, we're going to ban private cars on Market Street, and we're going to let only shared vehicles on that street, which is in the city's incentive to do. So and the company. So cities should make their taxation and their land use and their zoning all match those goals, because that is what the city wants, is efficient use of its streets, providing accessibility and high quality accessibility to as many people as possible for both commerce and for